Welcome back. We are now on to week 8 of the NFL season. We have had, unfortunately, some injuries that have derailed some rosters for sure. We do have to talk a little bit about Jamar Chase's injury, although I think it's hard to tell, but people are overly optimistic. But there's a harsh reality to that I think we can provide some insight on, and we'll get to that. The other thing is we had a couple of trades this week happen. Some matter, some don't. Some matter in the long run, some matter in the short run. Maybe in the long run, but there are some ones that definitely fill a gap that's important. And I'm positive we are going to see 5 to 10 more trades by the time next weekend rolls around, because there's just so many holes around the league. So we will go through a couple of the trades, a couple of things I think will happen, and then we'll go into our schedule this weekend for tomorrow. And we're just going to pretend like Tom Brady and the Ravens didn't play Thursday, because it still was not great. Although if you had Duvernay, you're pretty good with that outcome.
Maybe he did have a good week. He did have a good weekend, but a lot of that was returning yards. So if you're in a league where you didn't have returning yards, I think he had
I was like, whoa, this dude killed it.
He did kill it though, because I know in our league it's like if they don't do 30, because of like almost all of us have at least one dude that's big. We're like, if they're not doing 30, that's not an amazing game. But Duvernay, given that Rashad Bateman is back, he put up.
Bateman is not back. He played 3 plays. And left.
Okay, fair enough.
One target.
Kickoff return yards, he earned 7 points. Punt return yards, he earned 2 points. So it ended up being like close to 10 points from returning yards.
Just returning.
So a 16-point game is still pretty good for, especially given that they weren't scoring, right? He had a rushing He did get a rushing touchdown. So you take away that touchdown and keep the yardage, though, that's still like a 20-point game. So
very playable game.
This is why I think that you should have returning yards on, because it's not going to affect your league score overall. But when you have a player like Duvernay who's on the field constantly, I think that they should be getting points for stuff that they're doing.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So with that, we'll kind of go into a little bit of, I guess some of the changes that have happened in the league. So one of the things that we did do is we did turn on return yards. And, I would like to just stay with there really are a handful of players in which this was someone who can, work with. There are others other than Duvernay. Duvernay is probably your top returner value that I can think of off the hip. Ray McLeod in San Francisco, Pacheco.
Ray McLeod.
Yeah, so there are a handful but it shouldn't alter your league. If they return for a touchdown, they're going to have a big week. Yeah, that's just the reality of the situation.
The only way that would drastically affect your league is if one guy had all of those dudes.
Yes.
Like if you have 2 flexes and he's flexing Pacheco and Duvernay, especially with Pacheco being the starter, if he keeps returning and is getting like a majority of snaps,
on the field,
he's going to have a super strong flex, because suddenly they're no longer flex players, they're starters.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's how you can definitely use it to your advantage. And so it shouldn't really alter the dynamic of your league too much, but it can have a little fun effect to it, because it's tough earned yards, right? But along with the things that we did, or along with the changes in our league, is the changes around the NFL. So just real quick, we have James Robinson in New York. I think Michael Carter is probably still your guy that you're starting. Michael Carter probably becomes a little more playable, but the reality of that is based off the fact that he's involved in passing downs. And if you've watched the Jets, that's a bold thing to call a passing game. That is not passing.
Sure.
It exists.
Especially when Zach Wilson's there. It though? When Zach Wilson's there, their rushing has been the primary part of their defense for the last 2 games.
So let me ask you, can James Robinson fill the gap that is Breece Hall?
He should be able to. That's what I'm saying. Well, we're about to find out. The biggest thing is if they involve. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it, because they have to involve him, which we were most likely we'll see what we saw with McCaffrey, where it's limited participation because he's still getting sped up. But also what you were saying, it's not like the Jets' offense is super complex, and it's not like James Robinson's use in Jacksonville was super complex. It was mostly just run straight. In my opinion, the reason McCaffrey is a lot harder to involve in San Francisco's offense is because they were already pretty much complete as it was, so they needed to find out where he was best going to fit in. With Robinson, it's kind of just plug and play, where you just give him the ball and then do whatever route you were going to have Breece Hall run. And as long as his limited snaps in Jacksonville were due to them trying to trade him and keep him healthy versus he already is injured, and that's where that differentiation comes from, then he should be fine. He should 15 points should be entirely possible for him.
I'm going to talk about the next trade. I don't want to get on too much because I want to get on to the point that I bring trades up in the first place about. So you have so the reason why Kadarius Toney going to Kansas City matters is because essentially what happens is the New York Giants drafted him in the first round last year. Man, it's a last year first rounder, and they turned around and grabbed 2 picks for him. The injuries have been pretty high. It's hard to know if those injuries are like the Michael Thomas thing of like, hey, I don't want to play here anymore, so I'm going to do what I can, and I want to get
kind of seems like
the fuck out of here. Kind of does, right? Yeah, it really does at this point. And his comments all over social media basically like, yeah, that seems to be the case.
Galladay. Same Galladay. I mean, he's still on the roster, right? But I literally don't think I haven't seen him.
Yeah. Supposedly Galladay has made amends with Dable. Apparently they had a riff, and he just wants to play football now for him. We'll see if that means anything. Someone has to play other than Wandale.
He was having issues. Yeah. Well, I know, and Slayton. He's so.
And it's Slayton's done great though. I would play Slayton just fine.
I mean, he's also it's injuries, right? But
did he have an injury
this year? Yeah, he came.
I thought it was Wandale who was
had
hurt.
a hot.
Oh, that's right. He was out a couple weeks. That's right.
So I don't know. Galladay had not Galladay. Yes, Galladay. I was thinking Gallup. I meant Galladay. Galladay had issues last year too, before Dable was there.
Yep.
So
he had injuries before he even left Detroit.
Injury. I'm not even talking about injuries. I'm just talking about it doesn't seem like he wants to play.
Oh, issues. Yeah. And so Kadarius Toney going to KC, they returned the value of that first rounder with the picks that they got, right? And that's fine. I would say this, right? For fantasy, it doesn't help adding receivers to an already crowded room. And it doesn't help when you play on an offense with Travis Kelce because you're irrelevant. You are throwing a dart every receiver you pick from Kansas City.
I don't see Toney being super involved in their offense. I see him being as uninvolved in Kansas City as Marquez was in Green Bay.
Green Bay? Yep. Yeah. That's probably a good analysis.
The games that they played right now with Juju and Marquez, they kind of built this rapport. Travis
and
Kelce
Mecole Hardman, apparently.
Well, that's so what that was is that's just like Mahomes being kind to his rookie. I'm not going to speak to Mahomes' character or anything like that, but having watched the games where he's gone well, it seems like Mahomes is excited about Mecole, because it seems like he's building that relationship just with his rookie, and he seems to be decent enough receiver.
So they had a graphic that showed their speed and represented the speed at Kansas City receivers room. Mecole has the fastest 40 of all of those dudes, including Toney, and Toney has an excellent 40 time. So Hardman, if he can develop just a little bit more and be a little more complete as a receiver, truly has speed to make it it's going to be tough, man. You're going to have corners across the board. So I understand why, and I understand, yes, it does benefit Kansas City. Yes, I got you, right? But really what it also does is it also benefits Wandale, and it also benefits Slayton, and it also benefits whoever is going to replace Bellinger, who's definitely out for the year now. They put it out on the on their Instagram about how the surgery, is extensive. It takes a long time to heal. So he could still potentially be blind in one eye. It's a big deal. So he's out for the year. He's been deactivated.
Yeah, he said indefinitely. Dable said indefinitely, meaning he could never play again.
He could never play again. It's a very serious injury, right? And so, of course, we wish him the best. And that's crazy because, like you were saying, he was just getting hot, you played him that game, didn't you?
Yeah. Not that I don't care. I was frustrated because he was starting to pick up speed as a tight end on that offense. Yeah. And just for such a stupid injury it's so drastic and it was so dumb because it was just a nothing play. It's not like he went down on a big play. It was just a defender's hand was where it was.
Got caught perfectly. Yeah, perfectly. And it just one of those things, right? But of course, we wish him the best. I will say I'm excited though for Slayton and Wandale. I'm not going to get into the Kenny Galladay. It's too hard to read that situation, and I don't give a fuck to do it, right? Because it's been for years that that guy hasn't been relevant. So I'm not going to worry about it. So if you're in a situation where you have Wandale or Slayton's on your free agency, I think both are playable, and they're probably flip-flop weeks who does great and who does good. That's how I would look at it. One's going to get the touchdown one week, the other one's going to get it the next, right? And so that's exactly what happened this past week. Slayton got the big grab, and it was an amazing catch, by the way. He just goes up and just mosses that guy. It was a dope catch. And like Slayton's obviously putting on a show. The week prior is the one that I couldn't shut up about him. I kept texting you, Ray, and I was like, this dude is everywhere. He has like 10 receptions. He is uncatchable. He goes down because he doesn't want to get hit, which is fine by me. But his cuts and movements and angles were like, this dude's everywhere. He played a great game. It was Green Bay. He was playing against Green Bay in London, and like they had no answers. And it was just Slayton out there. Who was that? So that was awesome to see. So like it does affect that. The reason I even bring up trades at all, and we go into the part of like, we're now in do or die season for trades for the NFL, because the deadline, I believe, is November 7th, something like that.
Early November, yeah.
Yeah, early November. When you see players that have had no issues or have practiced in full and now are questionable for games this Sunday, that's an eye opener, right? So like a big one is Brandon Cooks, who's never missed practice this year. Full practice, doubtful. But you know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff where he probably will be on another team, and they probably can get a great profit for a dude like Brandon Cooks.
That's weird. That is weird.
And that's why,
and even as injury prone as he is, the fact that he's been so healthy on paper is questionable to me.
Yes,
that's weird.
Yeah, and so that's one of those things where it's like, I mean, at that point, man, just say what it is. Like, hey, we're holding him for value. Like, you don't have to lie. It's fine. We don't give a shit, right? You might, if you had him this weekend for your lineup, so I would have a backup. But you would be pretty hard pressed to play Brandon Cooks right now. I mean, he's had a couple of games that were all right, but some that were awful. So it's tough right now to play him. That's a team like, how last year we were talking about teams you don't want players to play on? The Texans are one of those. Unless you have Pierce, you don't play any of them. Yeah. Any of them, because there's no way you're going to know.
You can't play receivers or tight ends on those teams because
there's 4 tight ends that make touchdowns.
You can only play Pierce because with the exception of the O-line making an impact, the entire like value of a running back is all up to that player. There's not other things that go into it. It's just through sheer volume, he can rack up 20 points just by running.
Yes.
5 yards. 5 yards.
Exactly, right. And not only that, but like he does have a pass catching element, but like they've used Burkhead a lot for that. It really is like 20 carries minimum.
There's another back in
there
Houston.
is.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of his fucking name right now.
Okay. Well, when we come across it, we'll deal with it, right? So another big couple trade targets that I'm pretty sure are going to be on new teams in the next coming weeks. Chase Claypool probably leaves Pittsburgh. Second round pick is the asking value. That's very doable for some teams. Jared Jeudy, his value is too high. He is on the trade block, but teams aren't willing to pay it yet because, he had a chance this year to, if he caught, more of those balls or made more of an impact, you might could pay what he's asking for. But right now it would be insane for you to pay that much. So I don't see him moving. He probably is a Bronco in the next coming weeks, regardless. The Cooper Kupp has been mentioned to go to Green Bay. This is more of a sensational thing than it would be reality because the asking price would probably be franchise level. High. Yeah. So as much as sure, great, cool, but I don't see it. OBJ is decided between Minnesota and Dallas right now. Buffalo's not out of that running. It just hasn't been brought up recently. And also still possibly the Rams. I don't see why you would, because it doesn't look like it's going to be a strong year for them. But I think there's a couple I might be missing that might be big movers. Nothing comes to mind at the moment.
I don't know. The reason I don't really
Cam
watch...
Akers. I forgot.
Yeah, it's not a big one.
No.
The reason I don't like mid-season trades because a lot of times it's just silly rumors. Like the organizations aren't going to refute them because there's no point.
No.
So they're just like, whatever, be stupid and talk about this. I don't like talking heads. I really don't like football commentators. So like they're always talking about stuff like this, and just a lot of the time, it's just conjecture. It has nothing to do with.
Yeah, it's
don't
just guessing
know
games,
anything.
Man. No one knows anything about that.
McCaffrey moving midseason did jumpstart all of these trade talks. I know that because I know how that goes because even in fantasy, it's the same way. It's like everyone is waiting for someone else to make a big move, and they're like, okay, now no one's going to judge me. Yeah, no one's going to judge me for taking this shot.
No.
And it obviously because immediately after McCaffrey got traded, Jameis Robinson is now going to the Jets. It's like that's something they had wanted for a while and had been waiting on.
And on that
Kamara
too,
moving to Philly, that seems like such an insane,
I don't
unrealistic thing.
see how you would make that happen.
No.
No.
Carolina doing that is because Carolina is blatantly going to have a losing season. There's no
Yes.
chance that they do anything other than lose.
Yes, which is crazy because they're actually like tied for first place in that god awful
if
division.
Atlanta loses, Carolina takes the lead.
Yeah, and Carolina then falls like it was like 18 spots in the draft if they win this weekend. And listen, we're going to find out if tanking's real or not. You're going to see it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So and actually, I want to bring up the McCaffrey thing because that's how it actually happens. No one hears anything, and then McCaffrey lands in San Francisco.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying is like
there were talks. There was no talks before Jameson got traded.
Not publicly.
He was just gone the next day.
It was just gone. Now, people had ideas because the game prior, Etienne was like 95% of the player on the field. Robinson had 1 carry, like 10 plays total, right? So you could have maybe seen something, but you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known who he was going to and what the value was, right?
No, I never would have guessed that because mid-season trades are fucking insane.
Yes.
Insanely stupid. The only reason you do it is if you, one, are done with the season. Carolina is calling their season now. That's why they did that. And with Jacksonville, it's because they had Etienne. They don't need or want Jameson there anymore.
Yep. That's exactly what they were going to do. Yep.
That Jameson trade never would have happened. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but
no, you're fine. Okay.
Jameson would not have moved mid-season if McCaffrey hadn't been moved mid-season.
No.
That trade would have happened outside of the season because that's when trades like that happen. Those big franchise trades happen. They almost never happen in the middle of the season. Diggs talked about it on Von Miller's podcast, like the Vikings trading him away, and it like they were talking about mid-season. He's like, I'm not doing that in the middle of the season. Like that's crazy talk.
Not with the complication and the way that he has to be involved in the process like that, right? And that applies to those big names. Is like, while sometimes the game is different, like we were saying with James Robinson, hey man, straight that way, right? And I know there's more nuances to that. I'm just being simplistic for the sake of this, right? Like we're not talking about wheel routes, advanced pass action blocks. You know, the way that McCaffrey plays is a much, 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 much different way than the way James Robinson plays, right? So even the fact that McCaffrey was out there as much as he was a pretty surprising thing. It really was like, we will force feed this dude to see if we can get something going, right? Yeah. And it didn't work. Well, I guess if you argue the points that they scored work, but that they still lost badly, right? So no.
Sure.
So don't buy into a bunch of the conjecture. You kind of have to wait for the cards to fall. Don't go out and make trades. Don't do anything crazy like that just because, Jerry Jeudy might be traded, but he isn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do that.
If you have bench space and you can pick somebody up off the waiver wire, like I picked up Darnell Johnson on the off chance that Kareem Hunt gets traded.
Kareem Hunt gets traded though. There's a good chance of that.
And if he isn't, oh no! Like I dropped my second QB that is
Kirk
interchangeable. Yeah, which Kirk Cousins is probably still going to be on the free agency a month from now. Probably. And is interchangeable with any other quarterback that we have on the free agency, even in our 10-man league. It's not a big concern. So it's not like I was burning bench space to put him on there. If you're dropping starters, trying to take a chance that Judy's going to go somewhere where he's going to be WR1, which even given the hype, that's still risky. But then taking to the reality that Judy's fantasy value has not been good his entire career. You got to separate real football with fantasy football. Like the value of that receiver is not always the same. I know Jeudy has a lot of talent. I also know that cannot bank on him consistently scoring well in fantasy.
You're gonna be waiting a while, right? And so that's and honestly, like the other parts about like the Broncos and stuff like that. This is a perfect example of what we're saying is. When you move major pieces like this, it takes time. It takes time for folks to get into a system. No, I don't know if it's the coach or the court. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The point is like the franchise literally bet its life on this move. It will continue to do so until unless the dude dies in a tackle, he's going to be out there. Right. And so it doesn't matter what we think about it. It's irrelevant. I would also say stop playing Broncos running backs, but we'll get into that because it's going to be a complete disaster. But so don't go too hardcore on the trade hype, right? Just use a little bit of reality here. Even think of it this way. even if that player were to be traded, what's the situation he's walking in on? Is it a winning team or a middling team or a bad team, right? That matters for your fantasy production, because if it's like a bad team, I know the Lions are shorthanded at receiver with all that stuff, but like they're in no hurry to do anything because they've got a lot of things going on. So like, stop waiting and be like, oh yeah, I heard you might get traded to Detroit. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right. And it's just because it will take time. Now, as that closes, we're going to go through our schedule here and who are the folks that me and Ray would and wouldn't play, or starts or sits or however you want to call it. Right. So we did have the Tampa and Baltimore game on Thursday. That's not complicated. You're playing the guys that would normally be played. You're playing Godwin. You're playing
Mike Evans.
You're playing Fournette. And then am I forgetting someone?
You can flex Rachaad White, I think, pretty comfortably right now. 7 points for an RB2 in a game where the offense was dog shit pretty much the entire game. I would say it's probably pretty safe. Like it's not like he was running when they had a safe lead. It seems like he's fairly. They like using him, for like third downs and stuff. So he gets snaps and he gets yardage. 7 points is rough, but.
He's actually done better, though, in weeks past. He's actually crossed the 10-point mark.
Exactly. It's low, but it's not non-existent. 7 points is higher than a lot of receivers have gotten this year. And it's like, for a receiver to get 2 points, all you do have to do is make one catch. And somehow you're still ending up with 1.4 points. Yeah, it's unreal.
That's it.
So, but I will say this. Anyone who thinks that Rachaad White is about to be – there are people that I've legitimately seen this, Jim, are saying Rachaad White is going to replace Leonard Fournette by the end of this season.
Replace is the wrong word. It's not a replacement. It would be hinged on if Lenny got hurt.
That's completely different. Obviously, the backup comes in if the primary gets hurt. You are not going to tell me Rachaad White is anywhere near as capable as a primary back.
I would say that they treat him on passing downs as if he is.
Leonard Fournette gets plenty of passing downs.
He does. I'm not saying he doesn't.
We saw him in that game, and even in games where Rachaad White has done well. You've seen Leonard Fournette not only use the passing game, but perform well. Anyone that thinks that Leonard is backpedaling is out of their fucking mind.
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll overtake Lenny. No, I don't think he'll overtake him. I think it's another one of those situations. It's kind of like Eno to me. If the starter's out, you're playing Eno every time, right?
Sure.
And
Eno is better than James Conner. That's different. James Conner is not near as dominant. This is where
my point being. Right? If the starter were out.
Yes, but that's obvious. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about pick up Rachaad White because Leonard Fournette is going to get dropped as the primary.
No.
Pretty soon Leonard Fournette is going to be the backup. And it's like,
he'd have to break his leg.
Rachaad White is never going to be the RB1 in Tampa as long as Leonard Fournette is healthy. That's just not going to happen. So,
correct. No, I would not agree with that. Yeah.
I think what is happening is they saw these other rookies, Breece Hall. I wouldn't say Breece Hall overtook Carter. I think that it was just he was getting
design plays.
He was playing well. Him and Carter were, I think,
they were more even than people give him credit for.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Carter ever got dropped behind. Etienne overtook James Robinson, but we're coming to find out maybe that's because of trades.
It was
either that or it was what I was hypothesizing, which was his injury was still bad.
It's not quite healed.
It was not healed at all. Well, I mean, we say that you can't come back from an Achilles tear.
You're good.
Like Cam Akers or James Robinson. And if that's true, then James Robinson, after those hard knock games he had at the start of the season,
might have been tender.
Probably a little tender.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of those two things I think are the most realistic options. So those two dudes, it's not like they overtook their starter. They either weren't fighting for a starting position, which is my opinion. Breece Hall and Carter were never going to be in a competition. It was always going to be at minimum a split backfield. It was never going to be, Breece has to beat Carter out. I think
it may not have been as perfectly equal as the Damian Harris and Stevenson combo, because that was like legit perfectly even.
Yes.
But it was maybe a slight cant to Breece for running, but they still have pretty equal playing time.
Right. Well, also Breece is a rookie. Stevenson and Harris have played together for a while, so like Belichick's the way he designed their offense for those dudes, they know how to play with each other. Like their compilation backfield is well designed. They know what those guys are doing. They know when to use them. But Breece Hall didn't overtake Carter, in my opinion. Etienne didn't overtake James Robinson. In my opinion, it was either due to them backreeling him because Etienne is clearly good enough for what they need, and they were trying to trade him, possibly injury. So that's not overtaking if your RB is getting traded away or injured.
Yeah, I would agree. That's not a full overtake. No,
Dameon Pierce did not overtake anyone in Houston. For whatever reason, they just got rid of Marlon Mack. You'll never convince me that Marlon Mack was worse than Rex Burkhead.
Oh, he's on our new team now, by the way. He's with the Broncos.
He's in Denver. That's not. We'll get to that. We'll talk about them later.
We'll get there.
Burkhead, he didn't surpass Burkhead. Burkhead was never going to be the starter. Burkhead has had ample opportunities to be starters in other leagues. No one has ever started him as an RB1. And Burkhead's being passed out by their other RB in passing plays, which is what Burkhead was supposed to be good for.
All over
Dare Ogunbowale, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Oh, nice.
And Kenneth Walker did not surpass Rashad Penny. He did not become dominant in that backfield until Rashad Penny got injured. So all of these rookies that they're like, oh, well, the rookie running back class is just taking over. No, dude. It's injuries and trade. I'm not saying they're not good. That's a completely different argument.
They're good.
Being good and being so good that you kick out a veteran starter are two different things. And it hasn't happened in any of these teams. And that's why they're saying
literally broke his leg.
He stopped playing football for the season.
Yeah.
And before that, they had no inclination that they were going to start Kenneth Walker over him.
Or run the plays that they did with him or run him how they ran him. Like, no. You saw it, right? Because, like, Penny was a safe starter while he was in. Like, Kenneth did not take enough production away.
No.
To make it dangerous for
that. I have not seen on any of the teams this year a rookie running back truly overtake their starter. So it's like these false positives that people are seeing, and they're like, oh, it's going to happen with Rashad White too. Just because Rashad White is good doesn't mean he's going to overtake Fournette.
Yeah, no,
that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all.
No, there's a lot that has to happen in order for that to be like that. It takes a lot, and I would say probably no one overtakes rookie over veteran. I mean, receivers are a different discussion, but not much. But yeah. So yes, I would agree with that.
Hold on, my brother just texted me. Breaking news: Tom Brady divorced. I don't know why he felt the need to send me that.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, obviously.
But it was like, it's obviously, I don't know if he's divorced or not. I don't care about that. But it's sent in as like one of those, when a big player gets traded.
Yeah,
or like someone actually. Thing. Yeah, so it's shaped like that.
I love it.
Breaking Tom Brady
as
divorced.
If it's like relevant to fantasy. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get into these for our weekend, buddy. We got Denver going to Jacksonville.
In London, right?
It is in London at 9.
Jacksonville might as well just move to London, dude. Nobody wants them here anyway.
Yeah.
They can be the first UK
sold out crowd too.
Yeah.
I think it's like 50,000, something like that.
Okay, it's the only entertaining sport that country has. So
yeah,
I'm not.
So surprised. I'll start on Denver's side. Sutton, you're playing.
I'm excited for this weekend. I think that if Russell Wilson,
it's a good match,
is ever going to have a good game, it's going to be this week. Yeah.
So who are you playing? Are you playing Judy?
I'm not playing Judy. No.
I'm saying we're suggesting like.
I'm saying no. I'm not starting Judy.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I'm not playing Judy. None of the tight ends. Nope, I won't touch him. I take the back.
I'll start Dulcich. He seems.
I forgot about Dulcich.
Wilson seems to have a liking for him, which is kind of irritating. He took a Sutton touchdown last week, and that really fucking pissed me off. Because I think Sutton had like 2 consecutive passes that were good, and I was like, all right, let's get this. Get it in.
Okay. I got a rant about this. This drives me bananas, man. I cannot believe this. Okay, I am done hearing about how good the Jets corners are. Because if any corner could mog on a receiver like that, they would all be good.
Oh, yeah, you were bitching about that.
It drives me. Look, he's ripping him to the ground. Yeah. How is this not being called?
Mm-hmm.
Don't say, it's a shutdown corner. No, he's getting away with murder.
Who are they playing?
Don't understand.
Who are they playing?
The Jets and Broncos are playing.
No, who was playing? Was it Jets in Denver?
Yep. It was Sutton and Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
And Sauce Gardner is literally ripping him to the ground. They're like, shutdown corner. That is not a shutdown corner. That is not. That is a dude that, like, I have no idea why, but should be penalized just about every play. About every play that I've seen him make. I don't get it. Anyway, going to move past it. Drives me bananas. I just want equal standards. Like, if that corner is going to be judged for being good, you should allow the other corners to just beat the shit out of the receivers too. I didn't know that was allowed.
You were getting heated because it was like
I
was not really watching that game. I was frustrated because I was getting my ass kicked in all my leagues last week. So,
but my frustration was because 2 Sutton touchdowns, he literally got there way before the ball, never turned around. You see his jersey being pulled down, no call. It's like, I can't watch this, man. I've seen corners called for sneezing on receivers, much less tackling them in the end zone with their back turned. That's my rant. So I will play Sutton. I'm not playing any different running back. Not Gordon, not Murray. No, I'm not playing any of them. There's just no way that you're able to do that.
It's insane to me. They're doing this stupid fucking. I get it. I get that
like
Melvin Gordon he's had heart issues at the start of the year. That will never be solved. And I know I'm not in the fucking NFL. I know Brock always says that shit to me. I know I'm not in the NFL, but I've seen it firsthand. I have seen how people are like, I'm a Buffalo fan. I know everything there is to know about how comp backfields don't work because I've seen us try to do it year and year and year and year and year and year and year after year.
When was the last bell cow Buffalo back that you can remember?
I don't fucking know. They claimed LaShawn McCoy. Not really.
My point being that don't give me that dude who bitched to me about the LaShawn McCoy comparison. That was a good one about how that's the Chiefs running back that Andy Reid made. Andy Reid did not make LaShawn McCoy. Stop. So anyway.
You don't.
To your point,
you don't fix rushing backs. It's gonna bother me because I fucked up saying year after year after year. I just kept saying year.
You're good. So other side of the ball.
Hold on. I gotta hit the point with this. It's all right. I keep distracting myself. So when your running back is having issues, you don't solve that issue by throwing in another player and taking away snaps from them. No. They need start time to buff out those issues. I get it. You're not going to keep starting him while he's costing you games. If he's fumbling constantly, and I get that Melvin Gordon has had fumbling issues, but you cannot tell me that you do not think Melvin Gordon is a good running back.
Or a good athlete. He can start there.
Yeah, a good athlete. That's a really good point, and I have a point for that later when we talk about Buffalo. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that Melvin Gordon is so bad that you should be. I know that his problems could go away if they would just start him, just dedicate it. You're losing anyway. Your play calling is dog shit. Your coaching is pretty much non-existent. You're letting Russell throw games for you. Don't give me this shit of, we need to throw 8 fucking running backs in the backfield to get it done. No, you're a fucking idiot.
No, you don't just change from that to a run team. No, it's not how it goes. And that's again why we go to man, I could totally say don't play any Denver running back, and Latavius Murray could have 2 rushing touchdowns. But I have a news flash for you. Even if he does, it'll be on 5 carries and nothing else, no passes. So it'll just be a 12 to 14 point game. Tracks.
12-point game entirely dependent on touchdowns.
Falling in the end zone, right? No way. I'm not touching that.
Yeah, no.
So other side of the ball on Jacksonville's side, you're playing ETN. I think you're playing Lawrence here, and I think you're playing Lawrence here because Denver hasn't met any of these rushing quarterbacks that they've handled well. So Daniel Jones had a field day with them. Daniel Jones isn't lightning fast. He's a good runner. People don't realize how good of a runner he is. His 40 is really, really high up there. It's just one of those things where it's not a dude who runs well kind of thing. You're starting Kirk, but you're doing so with the expectation that 10 points to 14 points is probably a good game. Probably.
I think that's your high. Denver's defense is really good.
It's good. It's good.
It's not top 5. But given how often they're on the field, because their offense can't fucking keep control of the ball,
helps.
They have had incredibly low-scoring games. Denver's defense is holding them together. It's the only reason their games are close at all. I say that you start Etienne just because by sheer volume, he's almost definitely going to put up
even if you don't believe in it yet. Yep, sheer volume.
I do not think. Why would you ever start Lawrence though? There's got to be another quarterback unless you're in above a 12-man league. There's no way Lawrence is the best quarterback available.
No.
Even with buys,
not a best. But what you're hoping is what he did 2 weeks ago, where he rushes for 2 of those touchdowns that he might get. Right? If he does that, that's a 20-point game, right?
I have no. Who did you say? Daniel Jones? I don't know. Daniel Jones is a little bit shisty. He's got a little bit. He's got a little bit of swagger on him. He's tough, man. I don't see that in Lawrence. I think Lawrence rushed in because they were just laying dick down on that team.
Maybe so.
But maybe it's the pretty boy look. I think the pretty boy league for Lawrence kind of throws me off because it's I feel like he could get knocked over by a strong fart because he does not look like he could take a hit. So it just seems like you wouldn't really.
The reason I say that too is your top 10 quarterbacks go down right below that. all of those quarterbacks are playing good defenses this weekend,
Yeah.
right? And so if I have to play an average quarterback against a good defense, I will take a mobile one, not happily, but I will, as opposed to like Kirk throwing 2 touchdowns and calling it a day. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But also, one note I'll make, it because the tight end position is so impossibly hard, you actually can play Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram has had 4 catches and 60 yards for like 5 straight games. Yeah. It'll never be more. It'll never be less. So if you need just something, if you got Kyle Pitts, you're playing Evan Ingram. I'm telling you now. Okay?
Well, apparently not. I would say that if you drafted Kyle Pitts, you should drink bleach because you're an idiot.
Man, that's been everyone around the fantasy world is like, dump this dude. It
drives me nuts that there are people that are still they're losing with Kyle Pitts, and then I see them talk about like, and I know I'm going to draft him next year. It's like, you're a fucking idiot.
Because next up is Carolina to Atlanta.
Yeah, perfect. That's a segue. I won't watch that game. I will not watch that game.
Carolina side, you're actually playing DJ Moore. You are.
If you have to.
Because whoever the quarterback is, like, he's throwing to him. DJ's had 2 really good games back to back. Not like it's playable. No, like, that's a good game. That's a good game for that receiver. There's actually, I saw some videos on Twitter and stuff looking at PJ Walker's throws. That dude has elite accuracy. It's just like, dude, you got to see some of these throws. It's phenomenal the way his presence is. It's fine. I understand. We're talking about PJ Walker. I got it. I'm not saying you play him either. Well, okay. Actually, you're definitely starting Donta. You're starting Donta because Chuba's out, and they just got one of their blocking tight ends back. So you're starting Donta for 2 reasons. He's the bell cow, and kind of like it's him and Blackshear, the one that I was telling you about last weekend.
I could see Blackshear genuinely stripping some carries from him. I have full faith that Blackshear will be good. But I mean that's based off of performance in the preseason. He just looked really healthy.
But we're not talking about picking him up and playing him. We're just saying like that's someone you might want to keep an eye on.
No. If anything, he's just going to lower the Foreman's performance, which is frustrating.
Yeah, he just sniped some points, right? On the Atlanta side, you're not playing Drake. You're not playing Pitts. You're not playing Algier. You're not playing any of them.
Mariota.
No.
I would start Mariota or Trevor Lawrence. And
you probably could because Carolina's a bad defense.
If Mariota was a throwing QB and not just like a Gare version of Lamar Jackson, then I wouldn't start him. But he does run enough that like he's getting you yardage pretty much every play.
You can take the points.
He's finding a way to get you up close to 20 points. Yeah. If you're in a league that favors rushing yards like my brother's, Mariota is very startable.
Yes.
When you have like Mahomes out on a bye or something.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's that one. Chicago heads to Dallas. And I'm going to tell you now, this is probably going to be a massive problem for Chicago's offense because that Dallas defense is for real. Sure. So Micah Parsons is definitely capable of tracking down Justin Fields 100%. And if he gets his hands on him, that dude was already hit 50 times last weekend. It looked like he was hit every single play.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he got out of bed for work. I don't know. It was brutal. But Chicago side, we'll start Chicago side. You could stream or flex Mooney because they have definitely committed to throwing. They definitely have in the past 3 weeks straight.
I don't know, man. It's
not great.
Fields is not better than Jalen Hurts at throwing, even as bad as Jalen's throwing is in your mind.
But Fields has been running a lot more. 3 straight weeks, he's gotten over. He's over 20 points.
And running hurts his receivers, is what I'm saying. Dallas.
I know.
Dallas held Philly's receivers to pretty conservative points. I don't expect anything.
Yeah, this is gonna be rough.
Then again, New England's defense is supposed to be one of the best in the AFC.
And got whooped.
And they got that little booty smack. But that also goes back to this, man. Your defense can only play so well when they're on the field all the time. So
it's a matter of time.
Unfortunately,
every defense has 70 plays in them. Every single defense has 70 plays. After that, all bets are off, man. You're going to see home runs. You're going to see busted plays. Maybe some sacks and picks.
Then we're going to see this week is, can Dallas fucking score? Because I said that Dak's homecoming was going to be a fucking monster game, and it was embarrassing. It
was not monster. I've seen better.
It was bad.
I think what the Cowboys are going to do going forward is, in order to get ready to play better teams, they must have chemistry with Dak and these receivers. They have to get it going. It's not there. They're off the mark. They're dropping balls. They're getting stripped. Dak's leading them into hard hits, and there's things that are like, you're not going to beat a good team right now. Certainly not a playoff team. Certainly
Sure.
not. No way. So I think you're going to see more throwing than you think. You can't. You need to stop playing Schultz. They keep saying Schultz is ready, and if you watch either
ready.
game the past 3 weeks, he is not ready. He's not ready. He limps off every game. He clearly is still hurt, and if he goes for 2 touchdowns, then go fuck myself. But in the meantime, he has left the game early every time, right? Like, stop doing it. Leave it alone for now, right? If you have Schultz, you need to find someone else for this weekend, because I think this is one of those weekends where once they start getting it ahead, he's going to go out even earlier. So don't. Zeke is out, which means Pollard. You definitely start Pollard. Definitely do.
For sure.
Yeah, you definitely play Pollard.
Percentage.
You're playing Lamb. You're playing Pollard. You can play Dak. Play Dak. You're not going to feel great about it, but that's not a super scary defense. I'm not super intimidated by that.
It's not.
And they just traded one of their best players.
Dak is definitely better than.
Yeah,
that's
Robert
true.
Quinn's
that's
no
true.
longer with them.
That was a big trade.
Yeah, I forgot about the trade.
I don't remember who I was. I don't know the guy, and I don't know if he's a Philly fan or what type of fan he is. But he was talking about that the GM for Philly is like trade raping people right now.
That's a beast of a team.
It's crazy.
They are selling out for a Super Bowl, and it is very obvious now, right? So you're starting your standard folks. I would recommend sitting Schultz until he doesn't look like he's going to die.
It's a tight end. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you to sit him.
Live your life.
Yeah.
And if you want to say if you play his backup Ferguson's had some good games. I just know that's a huge dart throw. It's a huge dart throw, and it could work. But if you have someone better, do that. So next, Miami goes to Detroit. I think this is going to be a fireworks show.
Was it Detroit and Dallas last week?
Yes.
Yeah, and I said this. I said about
Amon-Ra was taken out in the first drive.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Dallas is a tough defense. I said that was going to happen.
Yeah,
I knew Goff was going to have a hard time. I said Dak was going to fucking ball out against the worst defense in the league next to Chicago.
And then they finally had a running game that was competent.
Like 16 points. It was non-existent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't the Miami side. I didn't watch.
First. Yeah, that's fine. We didn't. I didn't watch most of Miami's game. Right. Tua had an okay game.
He had an okay game.
His receivers had a not great game.
Playable game. They had a playable game.
Playable game, I suppose.
You're
going to start Waddle and Hill.
They're going to start them.
You're going to start Mostert.
Yes.
And most likely, if you have Tua, you don't have anyone better, you're going to start him as well.
You're going to play Tua. It's ripe for Tua to get right. Sure is. I just we've seen this several times where Tua steps into a position where he absolutely should ball out, and 16
nothing
points
happens.
is all he can manage. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's his fault or anything. Like he's a good quarterback. It's just we haven't seen that since the Ravens game, and everybody's chasing that Ravens game high when he threw 6 touchdowns. Stop chasing that high. It's not going to happen, right? Waddle, Hill, Mostert, Tua, done there. Detroit side, Swift is back. He says he's a full go. The team says he's a full go. You're playing Swift because you definitely had to draft him really high to have him. You're definitely playing Swift. Are you playing Williams? No, I'm not playing Williams.
What happened to Williams last week? We talked about it on the show. We said, we should have
by Dallas.
Yeah, I guess, man. Because we talked about it, like, he should do fine being the solo back, and he did. He put up like 3 points.
He had nothing. It was nothing. So I'm not playing him right now. I'm playing Hawkinson because he's a tight end. Any points are great points, whatever. Am I playing Goff? No. I think everyone realized what Goff was about last weekend, and that's the risk that you run with any team he plays. It doesn't matter that it was Dallas that weekend. I've seen him do it against any team in the NFL and go for 3 points. I've seen it all the time, right? So if you do, it's at your own discretion. I'm telling you now, not a great idea. Arizona goes into Minnesota. Another good game. I think this is a good game too. I still am pissed with Arizona's use of Rondale Moore. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, if they want to win, they can't only throw to one dude, and they can't only.
Is great, but obviously it was not sufficient, right? So you're playing.
Their defense saved them last week. Hold on. Who was Miami playing? We talked about Detroit, right?
Yeah,
that could be a good game. I'll watch that game. Arizona, right? They need to figure out
Saints last weekend.
Their defense saved them. They pulled them out of the fire. That game would have been so significantly different without those pick sixes.
Yep, they'd have gotten their nuts kicked in because Dalton was slinging it. I agree with that statement. You're playing Kyler. You're playing Eno. You're playing D Hop. And you're playing Ertz. Ertz has been a very consistent tight end. Yeah. You can play Ertz all the time.
So
if he falls in the end zone, he has a great game.
Even with Hopkins coming back, I saw people talking about that Ertz's value. You need to sell high on Ertz. You don't. First of all, you don't sell tight ends. You just drop them. If he's not performing, you just pick a new one.
Anyway,
don't
who's up
sell.
next?
Nobody's trading you for a tight end. If they are, give me your league info so I can come in and bully you because you're all clearly retarded.
You never trade tight ends. It's never going to work.
So Kirk Cousins is not going to give you Arizona's offense those free touchdowns, right? As bad as Kirk Cousins is, he's not throwing those pick sixes like Dalton.
They'll just start handing it to Dalvin if it gets out of hand. If Kirk can no longer carry the load,
he throws deep. So those short like just above the D line's head passes that turned into pick sixes last week against New Orleans. That's not going to happen with Kirk Cousins because he's going 30 yards to Jay Jetta or to fucking old man Thielen. It's just not happening. He's not throwing like that.
There was someone, I think the Vikings made a receiver acquisition. It's not, I don't think it's a big time thing or anything, but they were talking about how Thielen has just been like, he's been hurting. He's old, like you said.
Oh, no, I do remember we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Damn.
I can't remember what his name was, though. It's not KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne is not a dude you can play.
Well, he's been there. Well, KJ Osborne is fine. He just there's no room for him with
Jazzy Jeff's there, man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no room for him.
On the Minnesota side, you're playing Dalvin, you're playing Jazzy Jeff, you're playing Thielen in a flex if you need to be fine there. You don't play Irv Smith because Kirk Cousins doesn't use tight ends. Stop pretending that he does. Russell Wilson doesn't use tight ends until Dulcich came around.
Yeah,
you didn't throw a tight end for Russell Wilson out there. End of story. It's the same thing with Kirk Cousins. Doesn't use him, man. He falls into the end zone once every 4 games. Stop playing him. He's not going to do it. But that's an obvious one for who you're playing on that one.
Yeah.
Vegas goes to New Orleans.
Hold on before we move on, because you said start Eno. That is entirely dependent on. I'm probably still going to start him. I have a lot of faith in Eno. In my opinion, he's going to take the starting position, or it's going to be 50-50 at minimum. He's way more talented than James Conner. James Conner is potentially back.
Conner's out.
Is he officially out this weekend?
Yeah, he's officially out. Yep,
I figured that happened because his points jumped up in all my leagues.
Shot up.
He should be starting anyway. Conner, at no point last year, Conner's big games came from the passing game. Eno was driving through the Saints defense, not catching a catch 5 yards and darting up the field.
Is another player that you need to free as well. Khalil Herbert is better than Montgomery.
Yeah.
He is better than Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we're pretending like those 50-yard scampers are a dime a dozen. I've seen Herbert do it all the time.
Yeah.
I've never seen Montgomery do that.
They just, both of those dudes need to just get off the Bears, honestly. Because
honestly,
they're
that's a good point.
There.
They're just not going to be, so
they don't know how to
use
them.
The Eno thing. All right. Vegas goes to New Orleans. On the Vegas side first, of course, Devontae. Yeah. Waller is active. I would be hesitant.
Start him. Who gives a shit? It's a tight end. If you have Waller, he's probably the best tight end you have.
Certainly had to draft him high. Yeah. So are you playing Carr? If your starter's injured, sure.
Yeah.
Or they're on a bye.
Or it's a superflex league and you can throw him in your superflex.
Sure. Why not?
He hasn't really had a great weekend the whole time. I would hate to have Carr as my starter.
And you're absolutely, of course, full go with Josh Jacobs, who's been a monster.
Even questionable, right? He still should have a solid game. Unless his questionability is like something that's going to give him a limited snap count.
Yeah, no.
He's going to have a good game anyway.
On the New Orleans side, the Saints have said that even when Winston is healthy, they're going to start Dalton. Something's up there. Winston is a far better quarterback than Andy Dalton. I don't know what it is. And honestly, I don't really want a piece of this offense unless it's Olave or Kamara. I don't want anyone else.
Sure.
Anyone else.
Sure.
Don't do it. Don't even start Dalton, because the only reason Dalton went for 30 last weekend is because he had like 61 attempts.
Because the game wouldn't fucking end. It just
would
kept
never
dragging on.
Throw. It's all it was. And so I'm not – don't bother. Don't bother. All right. And Taysom Hill is fine if you just like, hey, YOLO, it's the weekend. Sure.
I don't have a good tight end, and I don't care.
Or my dude's on bye because Kelsey's on bye, right?
Yeah,
sure. Fuck it. Who cares, right? That's it, man. Like, I'm not going to nickel and dime. Olave, Kamara, done. I think the Raiders are going to beat the snot out of the Saints here. All right. New England goes to the Jets. This is a good game.
Divisional games are always good.
Yeah, must win for New England. Must win. Mac Jones has been given the start. I'll believe it when I see it in the second quarter. You're playing Stevenson. Harris didn't look right last weekend. I think you're throwing a big dart by assuming he'll just fix it this weekend. If you have an option, great. But if not, you're probably going to have to play him.
Dude, I've seen people just straight up say he's clearly a limited start. Like, people have said Stevenson is the clear starter. I have.
I'm playing Jacoby here. I'm playing
Jacoby Myers. Bro, the fucking New England receivers drive me nuts because it's like, why are you guys so inconsistent?
How are you guys a thing? That's my whole thing with them. Like, how are you guys receivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm playing him because I think Jacoby's an excellent receiver.
I don't think Jacoby's had like sub 10 in a long time.
Yeah, actually, remember I was telling you, like, hey guys, Jacoby's like number 14 receiver on the year.
Yeah, it was weird. He came out of nowhere because he doesn't get touchdowns. That's why you never, especially if you only watch Red Zone, you will never see Jacoby Myers because he almost never gets touchdowns.
No, and on the other side of him, like Devontae Parker had like 2 good games early in the season. He's still got plenty in the tank. It's just that offense isn't complex enough.
I think the issue is the quarterback there. I think that if you had
Zappy,
I don't know about Zappy. I think both of them are limiting those receivers. Honestly, I
for
think
sure. No,
if you had somebody with an eye for the ball,
a standard pocket thrower,
then you like put Ben last year on that team.
Yeah.
Barring all the other complications,
all those receivers would be playable.
It's like they would be really good because Ben finds
the same as the tight ends, man. Their tight ends are excellent athletes, but you can't play them right now, dude.
You know what I really love about those dudes is they're blocking for my guy Stevenson.
And I get it.
3 leagues now, so I need him to keep doing that.
This is gonna be fine.
I don't need them running routes.
On the Jet side, you don't play any of the receivers, man. Not until we see life from the passing offense. Don't play any of them.
No, like I said, Zach Wilson came back and their receivers disappeared. So, the only one that was relevant was the rookie because he runs. He gets rushing touchdowns.
Are you playing James Robinson if you had to?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I
probably wouldn't. No, I wouldn't either. No, I wouldn't either. Michael Carter, you're starting him full go. Michael Carter is a potential RB1. I don't think.
His value should only go up. There's
his
no
ability
way it's
to
going to
catch
go down.
Is excellent, right? So and that's it for them. Pittsburgh goes to Philly. I think this is actually trappier than people realize. I really do. I know Philly is dominant and they've played great football and they just added more weapons. I feel you. My big thing with this game here is both teams play each other extremely hard every year. It's every year. Dolphins and Bills. And
it's a penny game. It's a local game. They've got that regional rivalry. I don't care. Philly is so.
I don't know where they have any weaknesses, dude. I can't see any.
There are weaknesses, but it's like
strength.
No teams are like capitalizing on stuff. I don't know. Like I said, Pitt doesn't score enough to beat Philly. To put a button on it.
No.
To beat Philly, you have to score a lot because they don't score in the second half.
I'm still playing Deontay. I'm still playing Pickens. I'm still playing Najee. Reluctantly, but I'm still doing it because you probably had to pick him high, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
you don't have a choice. There's no way you're going to go to your line and have fucking Reynolds from Detroit. Yeah. Like that's who you're going to put in over Najee. You're not going to take that risk.
On Philly's side, I mean, this is pretty obvious at this point. You're playing Hurts, you're playing Smith, you're playing Brown, and you're playing Sanders because Sanders and Goddard. You can play Goddard. He's fine.
Sure,
Goddard's still fine. But you're playing all the big key factors there, all of them. That's
done. I mean, you don't have to really worry about any offensive player like Sanders. No. If you have in your RB1, oh man, I don't know. You should try and.
He's done well. He's done well.
Okay.
He's done well.
He's done okay.
First 6 games of the year, he's done very well, and then last couple haven't been super great, but they played tough teams, so we'll see how that goes.
Hurts steals from Sanders less than Lamar's running backs, but he still does do it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're playing all those. We're going to get through a couple more. Here we go. We've got Tennessee going to Houston. Well, first off, gross. All right, start there.
I'm not watching that game there.
Tannehill is out. The rookie is the full start because Tannehill is injured.
I'm excited. All right, I take that back. I'm going to watch that game. I'll watch that game up until he just starts playing like
I have a feeling Robert Woods is going to have a show because it's not Tannehill.
What a great game for him to start against like one of the shittiest teams in the NFL. That's good for the rookie. Yeah,
that's probably the best one I can think of.
Houston.
Yeah. Of course, you have Derrick Henry behind him, right? So, like, even if he does fuck up, just hand it off the next 45 times, you'll be fine, right? That is fine. Houston side, Pierce, done.
That's it. I'm not starting Cooks
Done.
unless I don't.
No, he
If
clearly
my
has some
receiving
weirdness
core,
going
as
on.
bad as it is not so bad that I'm like gonna start Cooks. I'm
No.
not trading to get him. I'm not doing anything crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm not dealing with that. Next, Washington goes to Indy. Heineke played fine in Green Bay. It's a tough game.
So with Heineke, suddenly Washington's receivers are suddenly viable again. Interesting.
Yeah,
how
Curtis
that works.
Samuel, McLaurin. You're playing.
Dotson's
you're
injured,
playing.
I think. Still, is he?
Oh
still
yeah, he's still out. Yeah, and probably headed to IR,
which is good.
Another thing is
not good for him, but good for the other receivers. I should clarify that. I'm not glad that Dotson is injured. It's just good for Samuel and McLaurin.
No, I got you. No, I didn't take it as such. Logan Thomas is listed to play, but don't do that.
No.
Okay, since I am a shareholder in this back room, here's what I'm going to say about this RB room. You can play Gibson and you can play Robinson, but the expectations are different, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're hoping Gibson busts a big play on a pass, which you probably can do, right? But if he doesn't, he's going to have a bad game. You cannot play McKissick anymore. You cannot. He has disappeared from that offense. The other one for Robinson is like he's going to get 20 handoffs every time now. That's the whole thing, right? And it's wearing down defenses, and they've won games now with him doing that. So they're going to keep doing it. It's going to keep happening, right? I know Antonio Gibson was listed on trade blocks. That's actually not 100% confirmed. So don't read into that at all right now. He's still very much part of that offense, and Heineke uses him well for the passing game. So you can play both. You just have to expect different things. Both need a touchdown to be relevant. So it's just in different ways. On the Indy side, okay. I talked to you all week about this. Sam Ellinger now takes the quarterback helm. You're playing JT. Yeah, sure. Of course you are. You're playing Pittman, but I think it's closer than people realize to me. Even as a Colts fan, I'm not 1,000% comfortable just yet with that. So, like I said, I had Boyd, Pittman, and Wandell, and it really was a toss-up because, like, to me, Boyd and Pittman are the runoffs, right? But, like, you're talking about a whole different quarterback, man. I don't know that he can even throw the ball accurately downfield.
Yeah, you don't have any clue what he's going to do against that defense.
No. So
he's going to favor Pittman. That doesn't mean he's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
And also, rookie quarterbacks throw to rookie receivers. So Pierce might get a lot more love if they have a relationship there.
Yes, and also another big part of it is that Ellinger also has a very significant running game from Texas, and he's ran in the NFL. He had a 45-yard scamper in the preseason game. Moves well. I'm hoping that he doesn't do that too often because I don't know who the fuck's going to start after he dies, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, that's it, right? But yeah, you're playing JT. And as much as I would love to, you don't talk about any Colts tight ends. They're all good, but they're not fantasy relevant, man. You just don't deal with that, right? San Francisco goes to LA, the big nighttime or the big afternoon game. Both teams must win. Both teams, if the Rams win, they have a 60% for playoffs. If they lose, 14. The Niners, 57% chance if they win, 11 if they lose.
Yeah.
So this is a full-blown must-win for both teams. You're going to see.
That game is okay. Unless San Francisco has some big hitters out on defense, I don't.
They're 100% healthy. 100% healthy.
The Rams own that rivalry, and it's not even a close margin.
It's weird.
It's possible that the Rams can win, but they almost every single fucking time smack that ass.
Yeah. So on this game, let's see. You're playing McCaffrey. You're playing Ayuk because Debo is out. But even if he wasn't out, Ayuk's played great football the past couple of weeks.
Ayuk is a fantastic receiver.
Fantastic athlete.
Even without a touchdown, he still put up like 15 points last week.
It's a good game.
It's finally becoming clear to the offensive play caller that you can, if I throw it to him, he does well.
Out.
It's weird how that works. Like, I gave him more than 2 targets and he played well. It's almost like it's the same thing with like running backs. Like they need to touch the ball.
You got to throw the football to him, man.
Produce.
You got to throw the football to him, right?
They need the ball
same thing
to
with Kittle. Same with Kittle. You're playing Kittle because I'm assuming you went way up.
The thing with Kittle is just stupidity. We know that Kittle can catch. We know that he can play. We know that he can ball out.
It's frustrating.
The play calling was just dumb.
Yeah. So we're going to write off that game. It was a disaster for them. We're going to write it off. For LA, you're playing Cup, obviously. Actually, I think you probably play Robinson in a deep flex. You probably could. He's been playing better football.
Fuck, man. I had him for so long. I'm not interested.
And the reason I say that, brother, is because Cam Akers is not even going to suit up. Cam Akers is no longer part of that. They have okay. Fantasy football world. Let me just start with shut the fuck up about Kyron Williams behind Darrell Henderson. Shut the fuck up. He's been out for like 3 months now with an injury. There's no way he comes in and is like, by the way, he never missed a step. Shut the fuck up. It's going to be forever.
Their backfield is
even
bad.
if he was McCaffrey, that whole offense is terrible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you can play your boy Higbee. I backed that up. Higbee's very playable.
Higbee's a safety valve. It's completely different. It's not because of quality of play.
No.
It's because he stands in the middle of the field where no one's there. Yeah, he's just getting the ball to avoid sacks because their O-line is trash.
The sooner that LA figures out the fact that it's their entire O-line that is just garbage, right? The sooner we can all come to terms with, like, don't play any running backs or their quarterback. Don't do it. I
have to start Stafford. I don't have a choice. Well, if you drafted Stafford, you probably drafted him pretty early.
It's actually a good point.
So you're almost definitely how you have to. You know who I would start over Stafford against San Francisco? I would start Ellinger this week as a hot take.
Yeah. Was he available in your Superflex?
He's available in every league, dude. He's available everywhere.
Send it. He's a runner.
So he's starting over Nick Foles.
Oh,
Nick Foles is not a fucking franchise quarterback. You know what Nick Foles is? A Super Bowl quarterback. Now, Super Bowl quarterback. I'm famously known for calling that Super Bowl a sham.
So Frank Reich is the coach that was the quarterback's coach for him.
Yes, I know.
So,
you guys love his cock and balls. I'm aware. And I'm also famously known, you guys always, you and fucking, what's his name? Who's the big Philly guy in our friend group? Anyway, it's besides the point. I hate that Super Bowl because it was a shitty Super Bowl, in my opinion. I call it
really special, baby.
The season was a fluke. Like, you had two terrible quarterbacks and just not great teams, in my opinion. That were in the Super Bowl, and so it was like no one is winning this game. Like, whoever wins, America loses, because it's just, in my opinion, it was a really shitty Super Bowl. Yeah. But Nick Foles has a lot of like seasoning, on him. He's played a lot of football.
He's been around. Really he's also a massive human that like can just do what he needs to do. Man, it's not going to be special.
The fact that the rookie is starting over Nick Foles tells me that the Colts have a high level of confidence in his play.
Yes,
because there's no reason why you would start the rookie over Foles if he wasn't ready. They know the other part of it too. Where Foles is at. He's familiar with Foles.
And here's the other part of it too in the Colts world, right? Like, one, they're not even close to not being in contention for the playoffs, right? They're second place in that division. They'll be fine, right? The part about benching Matt Ryan, it's a money thing, guys. It's very clearly a money thing. If Matt Ryan gets injured, he gets guaranteed $18 million this year. If Matt Ryan plays the first football game of next year, he gets $25 guaranteed million. So, like, if Matt Ryan had been winning football games and they were like at 5-2, then none of this would have happened. But because all the cards were on the table for the money to be guaranteed if he started winning, but he had already lost too many games to be that important, for the Colts to say, all right, I'll pay that, whatever. We're winning, pay him. But they weren't winning. And so they're like, fuck it, I'm not paying that dude. I'm not dealing with that, right? And that's literally what it is. It's a administrative decision. Nothing we can do about that. What I bring that up for is Ellinger still beat Foles in the franchise. I mean, in the preseason, right? And that was something that was announced, right? I trust Frank Reich to be creative with this offense. I trust him. Like, it might be creative to the point where it's unpredictable. It might be. It could be. Hines could have a huge role. I don't know, right? But like, we'll see what's up. It's not just Matt Ryan sucks. The whole offense was bad. Yeah. Everyone. They couldn't block. They couldn't run. They couldn't catch. It was bad,
I don't know,
right?
Man.
So
Matt Ryan sucks.
He does. No, I'm not justifying it. What I'm just saying is, like, you need to also like that dude was sacked more than any quarterback in the 6-game history of the NFL.
Kills me because their O-line was something that
was the thing Colts known fans for it.
Bragged about. It was
never
like their only thing that and it's so funny to me because it's like it had to have been true before, because now that they're having O-line issues, JT is no longer fantasy relevant.
Yeah,
he's not even real NFL. I'm not playing him. I'm starting Mixon over JT.
Well,
Mixon is like 16th overall. I'm still going to start Mixon over JT. I'm starting Stevenson over JT. I'm starting. I'm
No.
starting Eno over JT if James Conner is
No,
out.
fuck no,
Yeah,
absolutely not.
I am.
The last two games before we bounce, we've got New York going to Seattle. I mean, look, I wish I could tell you how they're going to do it, but the Giants probably win. I don't know how, but just somehow they're going to walk out with a W. It's probably going to be like the third string tight end from the
it's not
practice squad.
Somehow. The Giants secondary is rated
very good,
incredibly high.
Very good.
They have
Metcalf's out, by the way. Metcalf is out.
Yeah, fuck. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting because Goodwin might be startable now that Metcalf's out because he fucking went off last week. Yeah. But the secondary for the Giants is still
it's good.
Somehow. I don't know any of their corners' names. I don't know their safeties' names.
Yeah. Another part of the equation that you're missing there is they have two first round overall defensive ends from last year and the year prior. Kayvon Thibodeau, I forget Ojulari. Excellent defenders, man. Like they're so good, tall, lanky arms. Drive them in the lanes.
Faces. Yeah.
The lanes, man. Like it's so hard to throw over that they just don't get it done. So the defensive line for the Giants has been fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Mainly controlling, so in Madden when you're mobile and you drop back and you roll out, but the defensive end just cuts straight out, and so you can't anymore, right? Mm-hmm. That's all the Giants do for Lamar Jackson, though. They have those dudes just go this way. I don't need you to get a sack. Stop him from rolling out. I don't give a care where he goes. Stop him from rolling out, right? And so that's where I'm saying right now, I think Geno's going to have some blind spots that get exposed in this game because it's good fundamental defense.
Yeah.
And that's as opposed to playing super talented folks at certain positions, right? It's overall founded in good philosophy. And then in a combination of Saquon, I'm playing Danny Dimes. I'm playing Danny Dimes over a lot of quarterbacks this weekend.
Sure.
I am. I would, if you want to throw a dart, if you need to pick a receiver, you probably end up with the same points between Slayton and Wandale. You probably do, approximately within 5 to 10 points of each other, right? They probably do.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, well, it's 2 more catches. That's how I equate it, right? So one probably has 2 more catches than the other. Is about where I put it. You can't play their tight ends because it's their 4th string tight end. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Of course, I'm not even going to say Kenny Galladay's.
I mean, okay, so what I'll say is I wouldn't start their tight end this game. We'll have to see.
No, I wouldn't. But to see how he does because it's very involved, right? And that's why you played him. Is they're involved in a lot of plays for those guys, so it's a good system for them. On Seattle side, who are you playing, right?
Me personally, I'm not starting that many of them because I don't fucking like them. Kenneth Walker, clearly for whatever reason, they like him. He gets
35 touches a game,
and he makes plays. Man, that big cut fucking buried me last week that he made on the outside. I'll probably start Geno Smith this week. I do have him in my buy-in league. I have him, Dak, and Stafford. I'm still torn between those three, mostly because Stafford and Dak choke a lot. Geno is consistent. He's performing at the level I expect him to.
He hasn't boloed.
Yeah. Not for a quarterback of his level, given who he is and where he came from and the team that he's on. Yeah. So I'll probably start Geno. Goodwin is an interesting. Honestly, it's almost the point where
I've been meaning to ask you about him. I don't even know who it is.
I wish Metcalf would have started. Almost saying this because now I'm tempted to throw Goodwin in over Ayuk or Samuel. Because
no, you're not throwing him in over Ayuk. Dude.
Bro, he put up 30 points last week when Metcalf went out.
Ayuk is sound. Good player, excellent player. Not good, excellent.
Well, what I'll tell you is
hoping on a whim against a good defense. It's a good defense.
There is nobody. There are 3 offensive players in Seattle, and it's Lockett, Metcalf, and Walker. It's not as thin spread as it is.
You don't play Fant or anything?
No. Fant's had a terrible season fantasy-wise.
Disley, would you play? No, right? Disley is the other backup tight end. No,
mm-hmm. No. Their tight ends have done a lot of blocking. They've had. Fantasy-wise, have had a terrible season.
They've played good football. They've played good football.
Them being good at their job and being good in fantasy are not the same thing. That's my issue with tight end in fantasy. But Goodwin comes in for Metcalf and blows the fuck up.
Is it Goodwin, though? I don't know the receiver order for them. It's Lockett 1 at this point, right?
Right.
And then Goodwin should have been Lockett, Metcalf, and then...
Goodwin is coming in for Metcalf. Goodwin? That's who came in for Metcalf last week. It's going to be Goodwin for Metcalf.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much.
It's those 3 now.
Are you playing DJ Dallas if you need a dart?
No. There was been no inclination that DJ Dallas was ever going to be involved in an offense. I
And
openly
Walker
mocked
is
Carson
so
for that.
dominant, dude.
What I don't know what Carson was thinking, picking up not only picking him up, but starting him. What were you thinking? I openly mocked him.
You see his lineup this weekend.
Dude, I will.
And
I'll look at it after this, and I will
look at
make
Brian's.
All right, we'll get after.
Because Brian's playing Donovan People-Jones.
And
I was like,
disgusting. After the show, I will get on their asses. But I openly mocked Carson for starting DJ Dallas. I will openly mock anyone in public.
Yes. To cap it off, the Packers go to Buffalo.
Oh boy,
we've been 1 week without Buffalo.
It's unacceptable.
Buffalo
it should be illegal.
Withdrawal is terrible. Everyone's waiting for the Bills to get back.
Last week sucked.
Yeah, it was. It was not fun. Man.
It was bad football, honestly.
So many great players out last weekend. Fuck, Jazzy Jeff, Jalen Hurts. Oh man. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so I'll start on the Green Bay side because you know how huge a fan I am of Green Bay. You're not playing Rodgers. You're not. You're not playing Rodgers. You're not playing any of the receivers.
He's gonna have a rough day.
You're playing Aaron Jones because clearly
I don't know, man. I don't know. I would say I'm a Bills fan. I'm telling you, drop all stock in Green Bay this week. It's going to be rough for all of them.
It's going to be tough, man. I don't see how it's. I'm sure they'll do something.
Their play calling their play calling alone hurts. It almost makes them unstartable. So I don't know how you're going to say against a strong defense that they're going to have a great weekend. I wouldn't count on it.
If you said, "Hey Jim, pick me some darts that have a shot of working out," Dubes, you might. I mean, Tannins is playable as any other tight end. Tannins is playable as any tight end.
At best, he's a safety valve, but Roger ignores him sometimes.
I'm not worried about that. Dubes is the only receiver I would even consider. I got to think something's up with AJ Dillon, man. I don't know why they don't feature him more. I don't get it. I don't understand it. If you're going to keep Josh Allen on the sideline, it's going to be consistent moving the chain at a slow rate, and that's running the football. And I don't know how you're not going to have AJ Dillon heavily involved. I don't know.
And
that's not to say
I almost don't even want to talk about it. Here's the thing with Buffalo, right, is with Von Miller there. I was talking to my wife about this because we were listening to Von Miller's podcast. The reason that I love Von Miller in Buffalo now is Tremaine Edmonds no longer has to be a headhunter because Von Miller is far better.
Stay in your lane, Tremaine.
Yes, Tremaine just has to maintain his fucking position. Von Miller is going to go and do his job, and he does it way better than Tremaine ever did.
Chaotic awesomeness.
So now Tremaine maintains his center field position where he just finds a hole and then he plugs it. That's really hard on rushing defenses because Tremaine Edmonds is violent.
Here's the one part of Buffalo's defense that I'm concerned about. Rodgers is very, very capable of tricking rookies out of their coverage.
Cool. Tre'Davious White is back this week.
Well, that does not say he's full speed, though.
No.
Right? Like,
he was back last week. And
it's a huge injury, though.
He has been out for almost a year.
He
was ready to come back last week, and I can almost guarantee you they held him because they didn't need him.
So whoever Tre'Davious is covering, great, you can cut him out. There's still other receivers and tight ends.
Okay, but now Taron Johnson is on the outside. No, the position changes. Now instead of having two rookies, you have one, which is Elam, most likely, and you have you have Jordan Poyer, you have Tre'Davious White. First of all, you mostly only need those two. Because with Tre'Davious White being able to be a competent corner, you don't have to have your safeties as far forward to cover for your rookie corners, letting fucking tackles go. Taron Johnson and Jordan Poyer as safeties were playing super far forward against Kansas City, which was a problem. Yeah. Hey, man, I'm not going to tell you that I told you how I felt about you.
I'm trying to be devil's advocate and see where it works.
He's good at tricking rookies, sure. He's also fucking hates his receivers,
and they also haven't played good football.
They don't love him at all, and they played really bad football. So.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I can't stand that dude. All right. Who are you playing on Buffalo, man? Tell me his story.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Diggs and Gabus, I told you when I was in Florida and during that Kansas City game against Buffalo. Gabe Davis is for real. Anyone that says otherwise, you can pick my dick. You can pick my dick. Pick a nut, suck it. Just fucking gargle these balls because he's fucking good. He played well against a really good team. I know the Pitt thing was a bit fucking, gimmicky, but he played really well against Kansas City. He's a good receiver. You can start Diggs as a WR, and you can start Davis objectively every week in your flex without being concerned about it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I would start Singletary as a flex. I think that
Okay.
he's become more involved. I hate how often Zach Moss leaves the field, but it is what it is. I don't think James Cook and Moss are of any threat to
Not at the moment.
Singletary.
No.
I just their production has been so piss poor. Obviously starting out. That's not even a question.
Yeah, no, that's ain't worth mentioning, right?
Is Isaiah McKenzie back
Knox?
this week? No.
No.
Knox only runs designated routes when they need him to. It's not like last year where he was heavily involved in their play calling. That's just not.
Yeah, no.
Ken Dorsey just hasn't been play calling that way.
It's not what he does. I missed. Before we get back on the Buffalo train. Yes, McKenzie's fully healthy.
Yes. I might flex him. I'm mad at McKenzie because of the Kansas City game. He would sit on my bench for a week.
There's like 30 points left on the field. That was brutal. Oof. All right. We close it out with Monday night. We'll close the show out with this. Cincinnati goes to Cleveland. This is a good game.
Sure.
This is a good game.
The Ohio boys.
With Chase coming out, like it makes Cincinnati more manageable. What I expect is Joe Mixon to be an actual running back this weekend.
Maybe.
I expect Joe Mixon to be able to look, man, I don't know, 20 carries, do something. Stop. You don't have to throw it. Now, I'm a Burrow holder and now a Boyd holder, and I've always enjoyed them doing their thing. But you cannot make a long run without a running game. It just will come to an end. It will.
Yeah.
So if the Bengals are going to be for real, which they've won a bunch straight, they're playing good football. Their offense has been unstoppable in every facet.
Yeah.
I actually, on Cincy's side, I'll take Cincy. You can take Cleveland. On Cincy's side, you're playing Boyd, you're playing Higgins, you're playing Burrow, you're playing Mixon, and you're playing Hurst because Hurst has played good football. He's an extremely athletic tight end.
Yeah.
If you ever watch him, he doesn't move like a tight end, but he is the size of a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But normally it's like some fat guy, not really fat, but just a heavy person trying to reach up. He moves more fluid than that, and so he's a good player for that. I mean, you're playing all those guys. Who are you taking on Cleveland side? Also, I'm sorry, I forgot before you answer that. You know what else is on the trade block? Nick Chubb.
What?
Yeah.
They're just going to trade away all their running backs? Kareem Hunt and Chubb.
It would have to be like 4 first-rounders, right? It would have to be insane, right?
That would just – no. There's no way Cleveland trades away Cleveland.
So just push past that. Who are you playing?
That's dumb. Okay, so Nick Chubb, obviously – I would love for, and this is not hatred of Kareem Hunt. I would love for Kareem Hunt to be gone so that I could start Dearness Johnson. If he gets traded away, Dearness Johnson becomes startable. If he doesn't, the thing with Hunt is it's like if they really are trying to trade him, they're not going to hurt him. So his snap value his snap percentage is going to go down.
Yeah.
His points have been real finicky. I flex him if you don't have. Yeah. There are people that I would start him over for sure still. Amari Cooper against Cincinnati secondary.
I'm playing Cooper because at home this year he's done phenomenal. I don't know what it is.
I don't care Cleveland.
What it is.
Yeah.
You played. And what has happened is like Cooper's now become like a feature part of that offense. When they are throwing well, when Brissett has the time,
they just need to throw
Cooper's
more.
had great games. They
and
need to throw
if
more.
Brissett, if they fall behind, Cooper most likely will just be.
That's your guy.
His targets are
if
going
to
double.
pick one.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in Peoples-Jones. I don't have any faith at all.
No.
And Njoku is fine as a tight end. He's on
IR.
Oh, he's on IR. That's why Brock doesn't have him in. I didn't see that. I was like, why?
He's out.
What are you doing?
He's out for 4 to 6
Brock has
weeks.
3 tight ends. Did you know that? He has 3 tight ends on his roster. That's goofy as hell to me.
Why wouldn't I accept a trade for Njoku for fucking Etienne?
This tight end you're never going to start?
Dude.
Yeah.
And it's tight end. He's not even playing. He's hurt. Why the fuck would I? Anyway, I couldn't answer.
That's funny. I didn't realize that. I was so confused. I'm like, that's a way better tight end. Njoku is way better than the dude he's starting. Okay, exactly. I didn't know that. So you're starting Amari Cooper. You're starting Nick Chubb. You'll probably flex whichever Dearness Johnson or Kareem Hunt is playing that day. If Hunt, he's not going to get traded until after the game, right?
Probably not. But you would, and it would be a complete guess as to his workload going into this weekend. It would.
Yeah.
Up or down.
That's rough. That's actually a rough spot. I would say if you see Dearness Johnson getting a lot of snaps, you can pretty much guarantee
he's a good player.
Traded.
He's a good player, though.
And Brissett is startable if they're not getting murdered.
He is.
He does make mistakes, though, but and it's frustrating because I really don't understand sometimes why he makes the mistakes he does.
I don't know where that comes from. I don't know why he feels the need to be let me take a deep shot.
I don't know. I think it's a coaching issue.
Oh.
They're just not communicating well.
Hey, man, we are now on the clock. We got like 3 weeks, and we're going to see a guy named Deshaun Watson out there, who they will immediately plug in. I don't care the situation.
I mean, he's going to start, obviously.
Yeah. So, but that pretty much does our schedule and who we will and won't play and who should do fine. I think that's all I have. Brother, you got anything else for our guys?
Yeah, I do, actually. Go watch. It's not fantasy relevant, but go watch the Kelsey Brothers show. Go watch New Heights. Go watch Von Miller's podcast, the Von Cast. Those are two that I listen to a lot. I'm trying to think. I don't know. You can listen to those two, and then you can listen to ours. Don't listen to any other fucking show.
That's it.
For real though, if you're someone for fantasy, listening to players talk about the game is very, very helpful. Like it helps you get a way better understanding. I hate talking heads, and I know you and I are talking heads. We're not players. Well, we're not players. It's different when you're a player, right? So listen to Michael Irving talk about football is one thing. Listen to some fucking bimbo who's literally never touched a football talk about football is I don't care about your fucking NPC opinion. So go listen to these guys' shows because you will gain a far greater understanding than you ever could. I could have watched football for 30 years. I will never have an understanding of football even close to comparable to the Kelsey brothers, who are two dominant NFL players right now.
And familiar ties too. Like they've been playing. Their family has been in the NFL a long time. Like they come from good stock.
Yeah. Plus,
reminds me of like you remember? Clay Matthews, the Matthews family. Yeah. Remember, like they're all good stock, right? But anyway, I digress. Yeah. But anything else, my man?
No, not really. I just want to plug those guys because their shows are good.
I also want to put out that we will be around either on Discord or on here for tomorrow for the games. Feel free to stop by, ask questions, do whatever.
Did you plug our Discord?
Yeah, I plugged our Discord and the Twitter.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have a Twitter now too. It's the @touchdown RC because that's the only one I could get. It'll buff. And we just do fantasy stuff. So, if you have any questions, drop us a line. We'll do what we can. And largely we'll be able to answer because we're not that busy. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining us.
We're government workers. That doesn't count.
That's true too. I'll catch y'all next weekend.
Bye.